Let's talk about that because I like that idea. And so I do the same thing. Some of you might not know that like I had a small fashion company at one point. Where I don't even think you know this, where we reformed.
We'll get into it because this is a passion of mine, like passion for fashion. Hey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we get some good. Do you want to see some of the stuff that we made? It was pretty good, actually.
Absolutely, and I need to repeat this.
Let's do it.
I can be a part of this too, because I'm a team player. In a high world, it's me. Love is the answer. Jimmy has stepped away for a moment to show you some fashion, but he's not here to show you. So I'm gonna model.
I hope you're ready for this.
I'm wearing
some good stuff.
It's fun. I'm having fun. So
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that we did was we came up with these things. Right. This is a skirt that's like reformed, like really cool reformed materials. And
I'll wear that skirt.
Right. Yeah. It totally would fit you. So like a bunch of different like patterns that we came up, like most of them are reformed. Most of them are reformed kimonos. Oh,
I like that. That's
very cool, right? And so we did like various styles, various things.
This would make cool handbags. That material, those patterns.
They would actually, too. That's true.
Yeah.
This one's not quite finished yet, but this one's like a one piece as well, right? Like so.
Oh, cool.
You can see it's a kind of shorter one piece and different things like that we put together.
That is dope, dude. Yeah, like I don't think it gets enough attention as art per se, and a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot that goes into it. It's not so easy to create an outfit or like to sew something up like that.
Well, next on the list, because the patterns are really cool. So next on the list, I'm going to try my hand at making some Okinawa shirts out of it as well. But anyway, like where that started was I got a little bit excited and off topic there. But where that started was we were talking earlier about I just want I'm kind of a little bit into fashion, and it's weird because like I have my fashion, but like my fashion is like 90s style, like early 2000s style that like is kind of coming back now. But like that whole time that it didn't exist, like I was rocking it, right? Like the V-neck sweater, with the collared shirt underneath. And that's my thing, right? Like it doesn't matter whether I'm working or whether like I'm out and about, like that's how I feel comfortable. And I guess there's people like salarymen that they like to wear suits on their day off. I don't get that, right? Some people like to wear like pajamas to business meetings. That's cool too. Again, I don't get it. I need a little bit more security, down there below the belt. Like I don't just want to be flopping around. Like somebody might get hurt if we go that far, right? Like
swinging around like that. And I'll sit on mine if I'm not careful.
Right. Right. But we were talking about it, and one of the things that like my missus does is she buys like pretty interesting shoes, right? And sometimes what I'll do actually is because I know that she goes through shoes really quickly, and I do the same thing, right? But like I will just buy an extra pair when she buys a pair because I know that she's going to destroy them. And I'm like, I just really want you to wear those again, right? Or I'll do the same thing with my sandals, right? So
I wish I would have gotten 2 pairs of these. I got these the other day. Very cool Pumas. I don't know. I've got a thing for shoes. I don't know. They're very cool though. It's hard to find like good purple shoes. You know what I mean? Oh, I see that comment, Nick. I got these the other day just because like I figured they could kind of go, and I wanted them because of the bottom of them, which is weird because you can't really see it. But it's ostentatious too. I buy things for no reason. I'm out of control because of crypto. Actually, I think a lot of people have no good perception of value because we deal with cryptocurrency all day.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's interesting because I have recently been doing these update posts over on a platform that I started with. It's now rebranded onto the Terra blockchain, and somebody came on there and they were basically throwing. I thought that was like a head for a minute.
It's very, very. It's the wrapping is still on the zippers and everything. Very, very.
Okay. I thought it was like Mickey Mouse with like a Louis Vuitton, like, you know.
I passed on a Louis Vuitton yesterday. It's expensive crap.
Right? Yeah. So you're right. I would.
This is actually very nice, very well made. The leather's soft. Louis Vuitton is very overpriced bullshit, to be honest with you.
I mean, some of the brand name stuff, like I have to give it to. I'm not going to tell you which brand because but somebody gave me this wallet actually, and I've had it for like at least 15 years.
Coach.
And no, but it's starting to fall apart now. But still, 15 years for a wallet, like that's pretty good. Like Birkenstocks, I'm a big Birkenstocks fan. I run through a pair of Birkenstocks in like 6 months, which is crazy because like like Birkenstocks are built to last. But, right.
Yeah.
Right.
What the hell, dude?
Well, I wear them in the winter and when I'm crossing rivers that I have no business crossing, and when I'm in a kayak, things like that. So,
dude, I've never heard of somebody wearing Birkenstocks like that. Your life must be pretty crazy. So you're kayaking, you're walking through forests, you're in the city.
I mean, not that much these days because I'm more focused on doing this kind of stuff with people like you. But
do you live in the city area or no? Like, what's your environment like?
I mean, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of the city, really. Like you can.
That's cool.
You can.
Oh, cool. All right, nice.
But like, I'm not gonna take this outside because it's a pain. But like, this is pretty decent view for like Osaka. Like, if
nice,
all that open space, if there's a big river there. I wouldn't swim in it though, because like there's huge rats that would probably eat off your leg.
You could fight them. I bet you could take a big rat.
Right. Like they're actually, and I'm not sure, like they're not like vicious rats like you would imagine rats to be. They're more like a cross between a rat and they're more like a cross between a rat and a sea otter, right? But they're like a sea otter with tails, which kind of freaks me out. Like
that's adorable.
No, sea otters are adorable. A sea otter with tails is not adorable. It's a little bit freaky.
A sea rat.
Yeah, they're a sea rat. So yeah, Osaka's a good place. Nick knows. He's been here. Nick's a friend of mine, which is funny. If you're out there and you're listening, you might not know. But I went on a trip not so long ago in Japan. I went to another city and I was talking to Nick and Nick sent me a message. He's like, "Hey, why don't you go to this place?" He's stateside in the U.S. And he's giving me recommendations of great places to go in the town that I'm in the country that I live in to get great sushi. And he's usually not wrong, right? Like sometimes the place is closed or whatnot, but it's always fun. So it's great.
Thank you. Random restaurant suggestions too once. I forget where I was, like some town came up and he's like, "Hey, have you been to, wherever?" I'm like, "That's crazy. Like 5 restaurants there."
Right. Yeah.
I forget what it was. We were on like Ken's show recently, I think.
So yeah, let's go back for a minute to overpriced shit because I think this is interesting. And somebody was talking like, if I see another 8-bit avatar project, I'm gonna lose my mind. Fair enough. I mean, I'm big into buying artwork from artists that I want to support in the space. Some of the stuff, like I'll be honest, there's a few things that I've purchased that I'm not even really that big of a fan but.
An artist gave me this the other day. I was out of the bar, and my bartender happened to be one of the greatest Marvel comic cover artists of all time, John Zopp. He's got the number 8 rated best Marvel comic book cover of all time. It's an animal cover for X-Men. But He gave me this this signed, and I'm gonna cover his info. He gave phone number and email, but I'm gonna cover that and just show that he signed it and everything. But it's Spider-Man there. It's this trippy pattern. This is hand-drawn ink.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. So this is like real art, and I'm going to be bringing this dude into the NFT world. But like, there's a big difference. This took like, I think he said like 60, 70 hours to draw. Like he was like meticulously sitting there with an ink pen doing this. It's insane. And there's a big difference in, I mean, I don't know if that really matters to some people, but like if you're buying a piece of art, I mean, some people really care. Like, how long did this take?
Right.
And at least this person could say, like, it took like 80 hours. It's Like I almost went insane doing this piece.
One of my favorite pieces of art was an AI generated piece, which like basically entailed no work by humans, but like plugging a this piece was actually created just for me, specifically for me by a friend of mine who came to me and said, look, you tell me what you like and I will plug it into the computer and we'll see what the computer creates. And it created this really cool, I wonder if I even have it. I should try to find it. But it created this really cool cover. Is that David Bowie?
Yeah, I created this out of magazines that I found in the trash. I was like walking down the street, found a pile of magazines. Let me create something out of this trash. And this is a literal trash art, David Bowie.
Nice.
So, yeah, man.
A friend of mine, he prints. We had this conversation a couple weeks ago, but he prints T-shirts, and like one of his favorite ones is to like pull random David Bowie images off of that. We should totally put that on a T-shirt.
Let's do it.
And so what I think is really interesting is I had Collectable Causes on the show a 2 or 3 weeks ago now. If you don't know who Collectable Causes are, they're this group of 3 brothers who originated in Canada, and they decided to do this NFT line where 50% of the proceeds would go towards the Alberta Wildlife Foundation. And so what's really cool is they have these pieces of art that show various animals, and you can blend them up to get. It's a little bit bizarre, actually. I kind of feel like they went the wrong way, but you can blend them up and you can get them to like the extinct level, which means that that's like the most valuable level. I guess that kind of works, but like I don't want to blend my animals. I don't want to blend my animals into extinction. I feel like we're going the wrong way with that one.
What would be more valuable, a living T-Rex? There's a lot of T-Rexes, or the bones of the only T-Rex you've ever seen in your life?
Still, if I've got to blend like 2 rare T-Rexes to get like one extinct T-Rex, it kind of feels weird. Anyway, enough of that. This is all semantics. So, but the pictures were actually created by a local Canadian artist, and they're about this big. They're about as big as a baseball card.
Dope.
Or a postcard. And like she created them with like a magnifying glass. And the cool thing about it is there's the first person to mint the extinct NFT will get the rights to have this real piece of art sent to them in the mail. However, this is what I like about it even more. The rights to have that sent to you in the mail expire after 1 year. And at the 1 year mark, they take all of those pieces of real art that people haven't claimed, and they auction them off, and they give all the proceeds from that real life art auction to the charity that they're supporting.
That's dope. Yeah, right? That's creative too. It's not just like a simple one and done thing. They actually plan to, involve some intricacy in a way it's fun and intelligent. Like, I appreciate that, because then you make the process itself kind of like a piece of art too. I mean,
right, the problem with, I think, artists as well is like, if you map every piece of art that you have to an NFT, then what's from those people who own that NFT from just saying, like, using you as a holding company? Oh, I don't have room to, you can store it, right? And like, I don't think that the majority of people would do that, but there's a possibility. And as an artist too, like, it's a bit complicated as well. So, but that's the benefit of these like avatar projects, these 8-bit projects. They're computer generated by a smart contract, right? With the levels of rarity, they pop up when you mint them, which is kind of cool. You don't have to worry about real life storage. However, I do see it as a bit overpriced. I mean, what was it last week? The Bored Ape sold for how many millions of dollars again? And nothing against Bored Apes. Like, they're doing some cool stuff. There's, I think, like, there's music videos that are coming out now with Bored Ape stuff like that. Like, in that sense, it's good for the space. But we're getting to the point now where, like, probably a lot of these newbies are coming in here and they're thinking about it. And they're looking at like, remember the days when everyone thought that, like, if they bought Cardano cheap enough and Cardano went to like the same price as Bitcoin, that they would become millionaires, or EOS or any other blockchain. Like maybe Ethereum could potentially like hit that level now, but and I don't even think that's possible, but and everyone here knows how much I love Ethereum, right? But I will give them that, right? Like if they fix some of their stuff, they could potentially hit that level. I
mean, you get the supply and the utility and the
right. Like I would love it, but
they're burning ETH every day too.
That's kind of like with these avatar projects, and it's like I don't know, if you love cats, you're probably doing really well with Ethereum avatar projects. Like they seem to be going nuts.
I know so many people that are I don't know, I mean, you've seen how me and my friends walk around. Like we seem like kind of like yeah, whatever, like we don't really care, but like some of us have like crazy valuable NFTs. Like I don't even know I get almost shy and giddy talking about some of those. It's crazy how successful they've been. But to be honest with you, and people are going to hate me for saying this in this communities, but I mean, how far does that really go? This whole thing of, like we have an ape video now. We have somebody that's a rapper. We have somebody that's a movie star. We have somebody like there's going to be so many things that have been done already that people are going to want something different. Like Angry Birds was pretty popular, but you don't see like 1,000 Angry Bird shows and movies and rap videos and all these things. Now, granted, it's not like a digital asset that's traceable on the blockchain. Like it's like a, like this unique thing. But at the same time, it's a pretty good example of something that easily could be and could kind of fit that same mold. But at the end of the day, like I prefer more like expressive art. I like abstract art a lot too. I like things that are unconventional, but not so club oriented in some ways either. I love community, but I don't like the walls or the barrier of entry either. Because once that becomes millions of dollars a piece, like now, like me and you can't just get into it randomly anymore.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
community, a club at that point.
There is something interesting to be said for that, though, and I think that drives a little bit of legitimacy to the space as well. And the power of NFTs, realistically speaking, is potentially I could buy $1 worth of the Mona Lisa at some point down the road if they fractionalize that.
They
right?
should take care of it for eternity, because then those people would like give resources towards protecting it, restoring it. All that stuff.
Well, and I once had this like insane idea that like if I died, I might just like to be like have my body transported to like some weird like rainforest somewhere and like have roots like inundate my soul and have that protected, because like Jimmy D lives here as this tree. You can never cut this down. The rest of the ecosystem could go to crap. And lo and behold, this is what happens now. There are tree planters for the dead.
What happens though? I hate to be this guy, but I mean, have you ever bought a property and started digging around and like kind of moving things, cut a tree down because you're building something in a place?
Yeah. So I like my idea was more
riding a stump, and they have your collarbone just pops up, hits him in the head because you've been there for over 100 years. Nobody has any recollection of you being buried there or tree.
Well, my idea was more along the lines of like this would be a protected area, right? Like if I had enough money, I would buy like a cubic mile of the Brazilian rainforest or something like that. Okay. And like, but what's interesting about that is it actually could be potentially possible now with NFTs, because you could map that ownership to that land value, right? And it's like, instead of like Jimmy D was here carved on the side of the tree, it's a sign that's using rope, but and it says, Jimmy D is here.
Well, there's just going to be like a world standard of geo-pinned, geographically represented NFTs at some point, like a grid. Like if you look at so many platforms do it. Like I won't mention the one I used to work at because they're not paying me to. So unless they pay me, I'm not going to say their name. But they have like a certain amount of NFTs. They have one that represents every 100 by 100 meters square on Earth. So all it would take would be something like that, this geopen that we all accept as the metaverse, right? The metaverse.
Well, and that's a bit problematic too, because one of my favorite use cases for these NFTs that are mapped to real land values would be like in some of these nations that are ravaged by war or things like that, right? Like places in Africa where like military coups come in, upend the whole thing, and there's no recollection or understanding of what used to belong to their family for years. But you bring up a really good point, because the powers that be still have to recognize that ownership, right?
Absolutely. And then it's like, like my best example would be that you would have to have a precedent set in the market that was so undeniable that people would actually have to accept a specific platform as the platform that represents geographical located NFTs. So,
and And if you think Facebook releasing like an international digital dollar, like if you think Facebook releasing an international digital dollar got hammered down by the governments that be, this is not an endorsement of Facebook, by the way, it's the furthest thing from it. But like imagine what happens when you try to dictate through smart contracts where land value should reside, right? Like it's not going to be something that they're
the trick is that a large company is going to do it without putting it on chain, and then they're going to be able to control it in a way that is mutable, and then we're all going to get potentially screwed. But the example would be of something like the Eiffel Tower, say whoever owns that. I mean, I'm sure it's owned by the country at this point, but I don't know. A lot of things have private owners. I don't know, but say just for the sake of this conversation, it had a private owner that decided to sell the NFT plot with the sale. Then that's such a big precedent that we as the world would have to go okay, that kind of counts now, and then that one metaverse would be accepted as the thing. I just think it would take a few precedents like that on top of each other, but somebody's going to win that race.
Hey, who's on the line out there? Get the owner of the Eiffel Tower on here. We got a proposition for them.
Where are you at? I want the penthouse. Do they have a penthouse?
Right, I don't know. So, but I'm glad you took it in this direction, because this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about, where I was kind of leading towards. So you recently did. Part of the reason that we've been absent for the last couple of weeks is, I've been busy doing things, but you've also been busy mostly traveling around. So you recently attended the NYC NFT conference, and you also attended the Miami crypto experience. And so I'm kind of curious about NFT sentiment that was happening there. Like I heard from Bonds Manifest the other day that the first time he went to a conference in New York about NFTs, nobody knew what wax was. And he said this time 5% of the people knew, but the wax price blew up around or just after that time. I mean, William Quigley was there. He was talking about it. Yoshi was there. You were there. Bonds was there. There's a whole bunch of really Oh, you didn't go to that one.
I almost died. A lot of people know. I'm not going to exaggerate. I was very, very sick.
I'm sorry for laughing, but
I thought I had to say, I know, I say it in a way where it's like, hey, you almost died. But no, I thought I had the thing, and I didn't, but I missed a lot of stuff, dude. It's crazy how you can be just the kind of sick where they're we don't know what's wrong. And you're just out for days. I don't get it. But at the same time, you learn things and you live. And I did go to Miami, like a bat out of hell. I raged into that little town, and we made some waves, dude. It's a good place.
Yeah, I saw some photos of you with some friends of ours, and it looked like you had a lot of fun. But what's the sentiment? What do you think, right? Is this avatar thing just a fad? What's going to be the end when all of this rolls over, right? We're going to have a dip in the main markets eventually. You might go up 10%, 10 times more and then come back. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor in that sense, but it's probably going to happen in the NFT space as well. There's probably going to be all of these NFTs that just overrun their value. A lot of people getting wrecked, but what are going to be the ones that are going to survive, in your opinion?
So I think that at this point, legacy projects, it's kind of weird that we're saying that, but the space moves so fast that some of these are old already. So things like, you know, crypto kitties are always going to be super valuable. Bored Ape, Lazy Lions, these ones that have created community kind of come up out of nowhere, but also have kind of been here for, you know, a while at the same time. I think these things are going to stick, but I don't think that there's going to be a continuation of just like this mass abundance of successful projects that have that same look and feel. I think that what you could see is people like LeBron James starting to have like, you know, 10,000 avatars. And if you own one of these, we're going to fractionalize 1% of his career earnings and you get airdrops and a token that represent part of that or something. Like that would be legit. People could gamble on it. But I'm probably going to make some money here. So, I mean, that's, I think the future of those type of projects is people taking their likeness, associating it with some success that they're having monetarily, and then distributing that amongst their community in the form of NFTs, their own token.
Well, I was talking, I forget who it was, but I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's interesting that you brought that up, right? Like we always talk about and fractionalized ownership of art or fractionalized ownership of real estate. But we were talking to somebody about a game. And remember, like back in the day, you're a little bit younger than me, but remember back in the day, you know, Madden football or EA Sports or something like that. Now, what does it look like where every player is an NFT, right? And like, you know, Michael Jordan would be great because you could pull Michael Jordan out of like Major League Baseball and you could toss him into like NBA.
You hit the nail on the head with something here, because the biggest NFT thing that will ever happen will probably be Pokemon Go and finding like limited edition NFTs around the globe. And like that'll probably be it. So if say you have like one of those Charizards that's super valuable and you can basically get like a Lamborghini with it. Imagine the digital asset version of that, where like they're distributed in random countries around the world. Maybe there's only like 1,000 Pikachus ever. Like that would be a valuable card when really it's not that valuable in the collection overall. Like you in the normal.
Well, yeah, it's that rarity and that scarcity. That's
going to be the shit, right? So like NFTs that are geo-pinned, but from that specific collection, like Pokemon Go.
Right. And like, yeah, and there's so much potential there too, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens, right, if you have, you know, a Derek Jeter NFT,
right,
that he gets 10% of every sale or every time that NFT is used or something like that, right? What happens if, like, because in YoshiDrops, we talk about music and stuff like that all the time, and the potential for artists to be able to drop to people who might have a movie ticket that doubled as an NFT. These are all things that we're kind of working on trying to implement in the background. You know, Yoshi, obviously, and the Oxymorons and Bang Out, like they're kind of all forging these connections as we push forward in this area. But there's so much potential here with baseball and hockey and basketball and Olympics and
play hockey. That was so Canadian.
And what happens, this is what I'm kind of recently excited about too. What happens when you have players in a game that have scarcity? So EA Sports, you have your team, but what happens when EA Sports melds with fantasy football, right? Like what happens
doing here? And it reminds me of how Fortnite was essentially the first interoperable video game in some ways, right? And then let's not argue about which one was first, but like when games like that or like Madden or anything has these NFT items, like you're going to have, and it's going to get weird too. I've already thought about this. How does it play out? You're going to have like the world's 1%, like these super, super wealthy kids buying up all these items and competing with each other. So it could get kind of weird for like normal people, which is where the airdrop comes in. I mean, that's handy. So like you can give stuff, let people win things. But you nailed it. Like, I mean, even items for players, like here's like an MLB game. You know, you have like classic Derek Jeter NFT with like Babe Ruth's bat, or like, you know, like
actually, that's a really good point, because I didn't even think about that. Right, like we have these different attributes of characters. Like we had Nick from Gnome City on the other day, and he was talking about how you have to level your characters up, and like different characters will be tailored towards different games that they have in their metaverse. So, right, like if you have one character with like way more agility, then they're going to be better with the racing. Whereas if you have one character with way more fighting. But what happens, again, that's a really good point, when you put Derek Jeter with Babe Ruth Bat, and Babe Ruth Bat gives an attribute in that game that, like, you know, all of a sudden, for the first time in reality, right, it makes sense to outfit your pitcher with batter's clothing so that they can run faster and actually get a run, right?
Or you give your first baseman, you know, like Mariano Rivera's glove so that he can, like, you know, just like whip one over to third base or second if he has to. Like, there's things that you would maybe, like, different paths that you would forge within the game and then have them represented by NFT items. It's that simple. Or like famous, you know, like the Barry Bonds home run baseball that broke the records, or like even the Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa controversial home runs, and they're both juicing. And people have those. Or the Steve Bartman ball, or like the, you know, I'm going kind of deep baseball here, but you know what I mean?
No,
like,
yeah, right.
It could get crazy, and that's just one sport. Excuse my ponytail.
No, I know you like I know you like
Wayne Gretzky, like the different
to go balls
deep, like think about that. Like,
right, Wayne Gretzky. Right? Imagine if you gave Wayne Gretzky a little bit more padding. Would he be more effective or less effective? We're not sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Can you imagine if you had like Michael Jordan with like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's height?
Right.
Like maybe
that might be going a little bit too far.
No.
You can't just like send your basketball player into a shop and have them like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, they're breaking Jordan's legs so that like he can
shoes on.
I mean,
the different shoes make them grow. You know, I don't know. I have shoes that make me grow.
So there's one problem that we have that we need to take a step back from. I think this is a major problem I think this is a major problem that needs to be solved before we can get to all of the interesting things that we're talking about. And I could be wrong, but I think for mass adoption to really take hold when it comes to the NFT space, we need a way for, you know, blockchain interoperability, where assets that are living on one chain can be transferred and utilized on another chain. And I think that's really what's going to bring the gamers in, right? Now, shout out to Wax. Wax had some massive price movements last week. I mean, I think we at the high, like we almost, more than doubled. I think like almost 3 times the amount
or something.
Yeah, it's pulled back now, so I'm looking at it in yen, but still, I mean, it's close to that. My Blockfolio is.
No, I'm looking at yen and CAD, so I can't really. Right. I can't help you. I love Canadian, by the way. CAD.
But another one that people. Thank you. Yeah, I like Canadian too. It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate stable coin that's losing value against all other stable coins. The ultimate stable of downward degrading value I mean, at least no one's going to accuse us of price manipulation, because nobody would manipulate their currency to lose value over time.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to buy with it anyway? Beaver pelts and maple syrup,
right? I mean, yeah.
See, you didn't get bothered by that. And that's what I love about.
They didn't get bothered. Right. So
we're used to it.
I was thinking in the back of my mind, it's like, I wonder if there's a shop in the Parliament building, or I wonder if the Parliament building even exists, because it might not. There might not be enough snow yet for us to put up our annual Parliament buildings. I was kind of pondering that, because the Parliament buildings are in an igloo, obviously in Canada. It's that cold up there.
Do you know how to make poutine?
I thought you were going to say, do you know how to make it igloo? And I was like seriously considering that answer. That question would be yes. Yes, I do know how to make poutine, but I will tell you, there's nothing like good poutine, because, gravy, like true gravy that goes on poutine, it's always going to taste different, but that's the kicker. It's hard to get gravy without lumps. It's hard to, it's almost as hard to get gravy without lumps that has a good flavor as it is to get an NFT that's going to hold its value in the next 10 years.
It's true. It's just back with with currency and like time lock it, so that as the currency goes up in value, it's like putting your painting on a chunk of gold, basically.
Right. Yeah. There's other things that are happening in the space as well. I mean, obviously we're a little bit EOS heavy over here, but today anyway. But Ultra, I mean, they're a gaming platform. They've been under the radar. They've been making constant gains, not quite as big as Wax, but I would say in the last. Yeah, it's a totally upward trajectory recently in the last week or two, which is kind of nice. Solano, if I'm following what's happening over there with those guys, like a few really interesting NFT projects are starting to be released over there.
Yeah.
I went into Random Earth the other day. The last time I was really on Random Earth was when the crypto writer guys released their Crunks project over there.
Every day feels like Random Earth to me, by the way.
But there's like hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, that might be an exaggeration, but not by very much. There's like hundreds of projects that have dropped on Random Earth over there now on Terra. And so we've got all of these other blockchains now that are starting to come out with competing versions of what Ethereum art or NFT should represent. And I still think that there's a place for Ethereum. I know you're a big fan of Ethereum. What I would like to see.
I like them too. I like everybody, and that's, I think the point is that like we are the ones, for the meantime, that hold the key to interoperability. It's with our attitudes and our actions, and like we can choose to be a part of each other's communities, or we can choose to build walls and separate ourselves from each other. It's up to us as individuals, and I choose to endear myself to all humankind instead of just like certain people, like Wax people or ETH people or whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm the human bridge, bro. And so are you.
What the hell are disco fries?
Disco fries sound delicious, by the way.
Do you know what they are?
Give me a large. I'll take a large, Jimmy. And
right. I'm a little bit, definitely lesser known cousin. I don't know what disco fries are.
What does all dressed mean? I heard that's something I heard a Canadian say once.
Nitch, thank you for joining us. And this is exactly what I wanted to say. I have nothing against any project who decides to release on ETH. My biggest problem with ETH is the fact that like the gas fees are ridiculous and it doesn't help the ecosystem. It doesn't help the artists. It doesn't help the people who are on there. And so this is my big conspiracy theory, the one that you're going to think like Jimmy D is the guy who's on the internet. He's that crazy guy that's always ranting about this kind of shit. This is the conspiracy theory, right? Japan, Second World War, got the nukes dropped on them, went through a whole pain of shit, and decided that they were going to be the first nuclear-free country. Right now, they've got this kind of soft. They're one of the world's soft powers, and if you don't believe it, look into it. It's ridiculous how much diplomacy and pull they have over the global markets, even though they've been in, even though the bubble burst like 20 years ago. Anyway, those 2 lost decades amounted to them still having an immaculate amount of control when it comes to the global economy. However, they are very adamant about the fact that they do not have nuclear weapons. They will never have nuclear weapons, and they will, never support such things. However, they're not dumb. They're smart. I guarantee you, somewhere under the earth in Japan, there is a table with a rocket sitting on it and 3 inches with a little sign 3 inches away, a nuclear warhead sitting right beside it that takes 2.5 seconds to screw together. And voila, you have a whole room full of nuclear weapons because, this is how semantics operate. It's free range chicken because there's a little hole in the wall where one chicken can actually get outside. This is what we do in the world and in the space. And so my conspiracy theory doesn't stop there. My conspiracy theory heads all the way over to the world of ETH. I honestly believe that ETH 2.0 has already been sold. I honestly believe that when any other blockchain catches up to remotely what they're doing in terms of pulling and drawing people in, that ETH 2.0 will be released in the next 2 or 3 days. I honestly believe that the conspiracy theory in ETH is the fact that the miners are milking your transaction funds for all it's worth
Jimmy,
on the thing of saying like, oh, we're not quite ready yet. And this is what pisses me off about Ethereum, because you have the blockchain that is one of the most developed on, the most worked on blockchains, and you can't solve this simple problem. I don't buy it. I think it's all a ruse. I think that they have that capacity to lower those fees. I think that they have that capacity to get out of that old world dynamic where they're siphoning off of the people into this third-party system and enriching themselves. And that's my problem with the Ethereum. Not any project that's on Ethereum. I love to support people that are on there. But I just think that it shouldn't be taking this long. Now, this is coming from Jimmy D, who knows nothing about coding, nothing about how to incorporate a blockchain. But that's my honest feeling. I think that things don't have to be that difficult. And personally, go ahead. I said my piece. Now you can clear up. I'm
going to deliver my retort. I'm going to start like this. Jimmy, I probably overmodulated your mic, or my mic, I should say. But I don't care. No, what I was going to say is I love you and I understand your frustration. We're working on solving your issue and we'll be back to you soon. Right. Find Ethereum people, and I love you. But no, but I mean, you might be right. Like, there might be some issues. But I think that that's part of the thing. I mean, the adoption of this technology exploded in some ways out of nowhere. I if we look back about a year and a half, 2 years ago, when things were being put on testnet for ETH 2.0 and they're working through these issues, we were at about like $315 ETH price and kind of going between there and like 380, 400. I mean, people didn't expect this, I don't think. And nobody could have expected the market to take over and force prices up. And in a good way, in some ways, like it's deflation. If you think about it, it's not inflation, it's deflation. But as an asset, I think it's a great problem to have. If you're trying to use the technology, it's a serious issue. But also, if my friend has like a Basquiat painting and he's going to send it to me, like, it's going to take thousands and thousands of dollars to insure and send that. Probably has to be like sent in like an armored car. It's not simple. And you can send similar pieces in value. Like if you look at like the Beeple piece, for a couple $100 at the most. In some ways, for really high value art, that's a breakthrough. It just depends on what you're looking for. I think collectibles, something like wax, anything with delegated proof of stake is like ideal. It's amazing. You want to get through things fast because even in this environment, you have like a lot of flipping, and that relies on speed, not just cost. And real world applications. I'm going to drink this. Real world applications. Like if you want to eventually have something like Uber be powered by crypto and NFTs, you need to be able to get in there, do a transaction quick, and not have it cost too much more than the actual service. So there's different things. Like a lot of people getting in don't realize in general with blockchain what we're dealing with. Like Bitcoin is essentially like a store of value. Ethereum's like an expensive store of value mixed with like utility. Wax is simple utility in some ways because it's like it's one of the more stable cryptos if you think about it. It stayed at like 30, 40 cents during a bull market forever. So it's more of like a user technology, I'd say. It's not about the value per se here, although we'll probably 10x, but it's all about what you're looking for, man. Like a lot of people don't understand blockchain and they don't understand what they're using, the utilities of it. The smart contracts on Ethereum are incredibly robust. You can do a lot there, but it's expensive. So it's like, there's always drawbacks, but half the stuff you can do there, you couldn't do on other chains. So, and that's an overstatement nowadays, but like that's a lot of what it was about in the early days, really. It's like, what can you do with this? Can you, like, you could actually program your money. Like that was a big deal for a while. Now we're into this, like, this thing where it basically comes down to transferring, like approving and transferring stuff. Like that's kind of the issue. If we're looking at like the product, a lot of people like what they're getting there, you know? So, and the market dictates too. I mean, people are using it, but I think OpenSea only has like, at the most, like 16 to 20,000 users, right?
Well, I mean, it's, and so,
not a lot.
To put this as a parallel, right? Like, there is something to be said about status, right? Like, how many of these people who are trying to buy into the next avatar project and flip one of them to like quadruple their money or 10x or 100x their money or get lucky would actually ever walk into a real life art gallery and appreciate a piece of art? Right? Like I'm asking this legitimately because like it could be 10%, it could be 90%. I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm guessing that it's less, way less people that would actually be interested in real life art. And I think Nichiren has a good point here too. Like one of the things that I like about what Terra's doing, right? Like there's a couple things I like about what Terra's doing. Terra's doing these really cool things with the UST and giving that pegged value, but they're also doing really interesting things with the Terra Bridge, right? And so now you have this Terra Bridge that goes to Ethereum, that goes to Solana, that I think it goes to Cosmos as well. I get a little bit confused where it's headed, but it's connecting 5 different blockchains. And if you can do that with tokens, right? If you can do that with tokens, it's only one small step to be able to do it with NFTs. And I think that that's coming. And you know, as Nichiren Zinzo said, like, I don't know. I think maybe one of the problems is like, how do you do that? How do you move a Beeple to Wax and then have it maintain its value, right? Like, and how do you do it and have it keep that mint number that is overtly prized? And I'm pretty sure that there are people that are working on this in the background, right? So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see where this goes. But like I mean, so I have a question because you alluded to this too. So as an artist, then. When you create a piece of art, right? Like, so you showed us that David Bowie picture earlier that you said you were going to turn into an NFT, right? Yeah. Now, what do you do with that original piece of art? Do you map it? Do you keep it as an original and say like look?
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
That I almost just cried.
You're like, no. I actually offer that to people though. If they buy one of my art, they can have that. I'll ship it to them, or I'll destroy it. I'll throw it in a wood chipper and tape it if you want me to. Film it. We don't say tape anymore. Come on. I'll film it though.
Like what? Why not just make? Why not just make it mint 2? Like start with mint 2, right? Like the physical is the mint 1, right? Like that's
because I don't know. It's a part of art too is making a statement. The fact that made you uncomfortable is actually kind of interesting, and I think as an artist, I'd like to exploit that a little bit.
Right, and Nichiren's about like this close to getting banned for encouraging you. You're about this close, Nichiren, to getting banned for life from this channel for encouraging Nathan to make me feel uncomfortable.
I'm gonna set it on fire right now. I'm just kidding.
Did you mint it yet? Because that would be
no. I haven't. That'd be a big mistake.
I could just see this. I could just see this playing out. I get a message from you. Dude, do you remember when I did that impulsive thing and I set the Bowie on fire? I forgot to make a photo and mint it first.
There's a few people that have wanted that, and that's like one of the ones I haven't been able to part with. There's a few physicals I've sold for a decent amount, and then it's like there's some that I can't. Like that one's, I don't know. It was a weird time in my life too. I made that in the same week after he died because I was just so, I got back listening to all the music and just was like really feeling it because growing up, like my mom used to be like a big David Bowie fan. So I have some attachment to that music because it was in my life and it definitely hit me kind of hard. And what did he say?
The Red Door proudly banned by Colin Martin Toxie. Dark Matter, Cocobata Beach, Meshi, what? Music Speaks Management, GBMC Properties, POD, Slave Auction House, Muddy and Muddy's Country Dom. Yeah, it's great. If you don't know who Nichiren Zinzo is, or if you don't know what the Red Door is, I encourage you to go back on the Shallow Dive with Love playlist we actually did an episode not so long ago, maybe about 3 months or so ago, maybe 2 or 3 months or so ago, where we had John Rocky and a few.
John Mayer was on the show.
Yeah, a few of the other musicians that are working with Nichiren over in the Red Door that he's promoting, that are doing some really cool stuff with some live metaverse shows and things like that. Definitely go check that out, and thank you for joining us. We hope to do that again sometime as well. You actually got tied up on that episode, Nathan, so you didn't make it, but it was really fun to have it. The Nasty Hooks came and joined us, and oh wait, it wasn't on this show. Sorry, it was on my other Tuesday show. I'm sorry, I'm completely wrong. You were never invited. I'm sorry.
I'm used to that television. You just go, that's great, Jimmy. Yeah.
No, but it was a Tuesday show that happens as well. Yeah. So, but we should do one of those. We totally need to do a meta.
Aren't I supposed to meet the Nasty Hooks? I think that we're supposed to have like a karate battle at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna do that at some point for sure. So everyone's been super busy in the space, to be honest.
Bro,
I'm having trouble.
These karate kicks.
But I like it, and I'll be honest, like when it comes to art, I'm excited to see what you do with it. I'm sitting on a whole bunch of like non NFT images of your artwork that like if anyone could raid my DMs and see like what some of the things, and I'm sure it's a small fraction, but some of the things that Nathan has sent me, you know how difficult it is for me not to tweet this shit out. It's like, hey, you know what's coming? You know what Nathan did? Like, look at this. Like, there's some really good art and some really good concepts there.
I have over 800 pieces now that I haven't dropped, and there's a few that people are trying to get for certain things, like images for their stuff, and I don't know. I guess I'm a little stubborn with some of that stuff, I guess.
I mean, it's difficult. Like I'm raiding my house right now and throwing a bunch of stuff out. Like you always want to keep stuff.
What I have put out. I don't know, I've got crazy stuff.
So
this is wild.
But yeah, I like the idea of like
all just unfinished work. Or no, finished. It says finished. Finished art ready for description is what it says at the top.
Nice.
There's just tons of it, hundreds and hundreds. So yeah, I should get to minting, huh?
When you really should, because like you're causing me problems with this. Because like I want to fill a gallery.
These line drawings now.
Yeah, I like those a lot as well. I want to fill a gallery in the uplift with some of your art, right? But I can't do that because you haven't written the damn descriptions and you haven't minted them. So like,
I got you.
Yeah, right.
Me and Bang Out have a few seriously crazy expressive art pieces that I'll show you. One of them made some people cry. The other one gave some people goosebumps and stuff. Like there's some we're being vulnerable enough to put our real emotions into this stuff. I think that's like one way to put it. So and it's hard to do that. Like it's hard to like pass that ball back and forth in some ways and share that, but like it's producing some amazing work and I'm excited to share it. Like I should probably, maybe I'll do like a live drop on here one day and just like pop out only 10, put them for like $1 or something. Cause I usually on ETH, I've been selling them for like a pretty good amount. I'm usually going for between 0.5 and 2 ETH per piece on Ethereum. So if I'm dropping like between $1 and $10 ones on Wax, I figure that's kind of cool. Cool way to like share that, I guess. So
yeah, well, and I think it becomes a little bit difficult too, right? Because you have to kind of balance this out. And I think that the easy way to do it, maybe because I've been thinking about this a lot recently, but the easy way to do it when you're doing things is just to make sure that whatever you're dropping on any given chain remains exclusive for right now, exclusive to that chain, right? You don't want to be dropping the same piece over on Ethereum that you're dropping on Wax because, like you said, it's a different audience. It's a different type of group of people. Like honestly, you know, I would suggest that you do that, and maybe you can charge more than that. But I would suggest that you drop a series of whatever your favorite number is. You drop a series of those pieces on Wax, right? And then what we do with it is we take all of those images and we put it in a shallow dive gallery in the uplift. and that's what separates, you know, what's in Ethereum from what's on Wax. You know, just a little building. It could be a floor of a building, but this is like Series 1 on Wax or whatever you want to, you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, a drip of the heart or whatever. I don't know, whatever weird. You know,
love drops,
right? Love drops on Wax. I mean, there's a really interesting, you know, S&M thing that could be, you know,
you never know.
Love drops on Wax, right? Like. Wax drops on love.
Mature audience, mature space on Wax here.
Right.
We get freaky. No? You're just like, I don't know. I'm not going to respond to that.
I know. I almost want to ignore Nijiran's last comment because I don't even want to go there. Cool. I you know what? I'm going to be nice. And if AKA Facebook now rebranded as Meta, which, you know, when all of this dies down, might become the metaverse formerly known as Facebook back to Meta. I don't know how this works really. Like,
that's obviously the plan. It's to like we're just gonna be like, I don't know, man. You know,
have you heard about the metaverse formerly known as Facebook? No, what are they called? They're called Meta.
They're called Meta. I mean, that's the thing. I always thought, like, I don't know. I always thought like Apple would adopt like EOS for some reason because the branding would be simple.
Oh, there's no way that Apple's not iOS, EOS. There's no way that Apple's not doing something in the crypto verse. And I can almost guarantee you that probably at some point they did look into EOS, but like the shit show that became. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say, like, it was like there was no funding for Block One. There was nothing happening, right? Like everything was a mess. All these projects left. Like a lot of the gaming and NFT projects went over to Wax, right? Like Telos got like the hardcore governance people, you know.
Right.
Ultra and Wax basically successfully separated themselves.
Gaming,
you know, Telos and Proton. Like basically extradited the rest of the community, saying like you follow us or you stay over there with those, you know, people who are drowning themselves. And now we're at a point with, you know, the EOS Network Foundation, whether you like it or not, these vested tokens moving over to Helios with Brock. You've got EOS Starter. You've got like a bunch of other things. Definitely, by the way, if you don't know, I also run a show over on the Generate EOS channel called Genpool Spotlight, where we interview usually 1 or 2 people a month on their projects. But I kicked off a new mini series last week called Pomelo Pitch Deck. Pomelo is a new quadratic funding protocol that's operating on EOS in part because of EOS Nation and EOS Asia. They built it, and donating 1 or 2 EOS to your favorite projects will be matched in this really unique way to offer quite a bit more funding to come into these projects for them to build out what they're doing. So I'm doing a 20-minute show over there, seriously, like 20 to 30 minutes. I've been really successful. I think my longest show ever over there was 32 minutes, which Nathan knows is huge because like an hour show turns into like 2 or 3 hours at times.
Talk, bro.
Right? Yeah. Because I think I love the country that I live in, but I have no like outlet to be able to say my piece, right? That's totally not true. When we meet in real life, it's going to be the exact same thing, except we're going to have real life drinks in front of our hands and way more to talk about. But yeah, I agree. I don't know if I agree with the why of Nick, but he might have a point because I do respect his opinion on a lot of this stuff. So he says they would never touch EOS due to the open source nature. Fair enough. I never thought about it in that direction as well.
I don't look at it from that perspective either. Yeah. Do you think that? So I mean, it's no mystery that like one of the legends of programming in general helped create or did create EOS, right? Dan Larimer.
Well,
do you think that him essentially stepping away from all those, every project that he's touched, essentially, like, do you think that had an impact on EOS as a whole, or do you think that that's kind of inconsequential?
So because I interviewed
there still. Maybe it would be different.
So I interviewed Dan not so long ago on Gener EOS on the Genpool Spotlight, and we talked about this a little bit. But just to give you a disclaimer on the backstory of me, I actually wrote an article for EOS Go back in the day when Dan left Block One, and I was pretty critical about it, right? Because I said, look, if you're gonna leave the blockchain, that's okay, but like, and I do think that it could go a better way. But like, why would you announce your resignation from Block One on Hive? Right? Like a blockchain that you're already being criticized of leaving, and you announce your resignation on that blockchain. Like I was online when he was doing that, and like everyone thought it was a scam. Like even Luke Stokes was just like, what's going on? Like somebody hacked Dan's account. Like, you know what? Yeah, he's great. What's happening?
Hung out recently in person. He's amazing.
Right? Yeah, I've never met him in person, but I love having him on the show. And Corey said the same thing. He's awesome, right?
He's great.
But yeah, like in the end, it actually was Dan, and then like the official letters and stuff came out, and so like what happened then, I think in the end was all better, because like once he left EOS, he started doing a lot of stuff with this EOS, Eden on EOS. He became a lot more engaged with the community, right? He started coming out and doing interviews. What they were doing with the Clarion team to build in this governance structure, electoral like type of vote structure with the Eden, trials, and now the first Eden election proper. I mean, writing his book, I think this, if you actually look at it, this actually proves that he's not just launching projects and walking away from them. I think it proves that, in a certain way, that he built EOS because it was the blockchain he wanted to use, right? And he's using Clarion, which was another blockchain that he built long before EOS, to try to tie that into the governance stuff. I mean, I think he just maybe overshot like the thought pattern there. It's like, maybe people. I'm guessing. I don't know. I never asked him this question, but I'm guessing. I'm thinking maybe he thought that like maybe it was subconscious. Maybe he didn't even realize it. Maybe he's just like, okay, well, I don't use any social networks on EOS. The only one I use is on Hive, so I'm going to do the release over there. Like maybe it never even clued into him that people had been like, yelling at him. And this is the thing. We deal with this all the time, Nathan, in YoshiDrops or in the Uplift world or in many projects like you over with Ken. You see it all the time. People coming out of the woodwork and saying, scammers, you guys are doing this, you're moving on. And it's not the case, right? So maybe he's just in that headspace where he's like, I'm not even paying attention to people who say that I'm leaving projects because I'm not leaving them. And in his mind, he's not, right? So I think, I mean,
that's why he's the Michael Jordan of programming, right? He just blocks it out.
Fudder's gonna fud. One of my favorite signs in the Uplift: potato's gonna potate, right? Like,
I like that.
Haters gonna hate, potato's gonna potate, right? So,
I love potato.
But yeah, I mean, what's your take? Do you think that he like does it matter really? What like? I mean, Jobs got a bad rap. I mean, Bill Gates has gotten a bad rap, because of the whole, world domination takeover, through vaccine type of shit that's been out there on the internet recently, right? I'm sorry, because there might be people who honestly believe that, but like I will be 100% transparent with my personal opinion. If the American government wanted to take away your rights, the Constitution doesn't mean shit. They would roll in with their tanks and do it. They're not going to concoct this crazy thing to manipulate your DNA with genes. That's my honest perspective. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's actually an interesting point, because we have so there's a lot of countries that are sort of ruled with an iron fist, so to speak. They have a much larger population than the U.S., right? And those countries are able to still effectively be controlled, so to speak. Their populations, at least like their middle lower class. Having said that, like, I think that you're right. I mean, I don't think it would take much to get us to like stand down or something. I mean, I know there's a ton of people that like I would never tolerate that, and that's fine. But like, I mean, it's a numbers game at the end of the day, right? So
yeah, or a size game. They have bigger guns than you.
Exactly. I'm trying to say in a nice way that like it's not going to work out. So I don't know. I think we shouldn't put ourselves and our egos in a position where we have to personally compromise, I guess, our values and our morals for things. But
no, but you bring up an interesting point because like
in a lot of ways either. So it's like I think that line gets blurred on purpose because if we're emotional as a society, it's easier to kind of get things over our heads. And maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe that's my conspiracy theory, but I think a lot of times the powers that be, no matter who you think is in control, whether it's the government, the media, whatever, I think that mixed messages are there for a reason. I mean, we're not supposed to be fully united, or else there can't be success for certain people. I mean, conflict is necessary for some people to be profitable. And I think and a lot of those people that happen to be profitable from conflict are the people that control, information a lot of times. So it's like just maybe the easiest way, like we always talk about low lift in this space. Like, what's the low lift way we can do this? What's scalable? That's the most scalable way to control, is to not spend too many resources on it. Just use words, not physical resources. So like, I think that from that perspective, it's an easier way to kind of control. And I think it's kind of sneaky, but like, it probably doesn't matter either. Like you're saying, like who really cares? There is no control. We're sitting on a rock floating through space at like some crazy speed. I mean, our perception of control is only here because we're aging slow enough to not perceive our own impending death. Weird, but anyway. Hey, I love you. Happy.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to go off there, but like I think like the most powerful weapon that any country, whether it's quote unquote communist China or free America, has is the media, right? And that like in both countries, we say that the media in America is free, but it's not as free as I think we would like to believe. But just to go back to what you were saying earlier about like, all it would take is somebody to, put the Eiffel Tower on the blockchain, fractionalize it and sell it. And that would be a game changer, because then people would have belief in the system. That's all the American Constitution is. People believe in it. It's like money. People believe,
put it on chain, bro.
But people believe that it has value, so it does, right? People believe that the Constitution is there to protect them. And a lot of the people who are fighting, in the government, rely on the Constitution to not overstep their bounds or to try to, push the boundaries of what they can get away with. But overall, there is that belief in the Constitution that gives it the value, right? It's not because it's on chain. It's not because it's the law. It's not because it's backed by like the military. It's overall unanimously because it has belief, right? And so like I do want to like just kind of step back and say that yes, the Constitution does matter. I don't think that the Americans would ever stoop to the level where they would just like bring the military in and shoot everyone with a gun. If they were going to do that, they would have done that a couple hundred years ago, not today. Right?
There's cameras now.
Yeah, like
Nichiren
has a really good point there, right? Like I don't even think you would see that in China, these days. My brother lives in China. We'd see a lot of bad stuff that happens there. But like,
didn't an ice skater just go missing?
It could have been, yeah, right. But anyway, I mean, in a lot of ways, like China is more capitalist than America, right?
Very famous one. So there's, I don't want to get into it too much here, but there's like there's an issue over there now where a famous athlete accused a politician of doing things, and now the famous athlete is just missing.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean,
and the world is like, where is she? And they don't have a great answer. So like that's terrifying,
Yep, 100%. And that's one thing that doesn't happen in the US. We've got a lot of problems in the US, right?
No, you just go missing. That's the difference. Like I think that there's this different thing. Like
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a different way. Like, would you believe anybody here that's saying that? No, but you believe it if it happens there.
Well, I don't know, right? And
the government took my friend, and people like, you're crazy. Right.
Well, and Nichiren saying it was a Polish ice skater and he died during spring training.
This is a different thing for sure.
Okay.
His husband was yesterday.
Okay.
All right, bro. This is not true. But I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of ice skaters from a lot of countries that have dealt with
okay, I see. Sorry, man. Like, we're all political. Apparently, it was a joke. Spring training, there's no ice. I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, I've been skating in Dubai. I've been on a mountain in Dubai snowboarding, and that's the middle of the desert. So
you've been in some fancy places. Have you ever drank out of like a gold like teacup?
I've drank out of a glass teacup. I think maybe I've drank out of a glass teacup that was rimmed with gold. But
rimmed with real gold, huh?
Yeah.
You've been in some fancy places. You've been around some money, haven't you?
Well, not necessarily like money, but like I mean, I've met some pretty well off people and hung out with them, but like mostly I like to travel. So my goal was always to get to the number of countries that was my age. Which is actually a lot harder than you believe. I got close. I got to the point where I was like 2 or 3 off at one point. But
you got to go to somewhere where there's a lot of countries next to it, and you can just take like a train. It's like ding, 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 ding.
Right. Well, but even that's hard because I like to experience place, right? So, but yeah, you know, now with my daughter and another one on the way, but the crypto offers that back again, right? It offers that ability to be able to live anywhere.
We didn't do this real quick. Connection. What do you hate? Just before, I don't want to risk you going like be like, hey, we're done.
That's so not true. But yeah,
this is our segment.
Yeah. So one more time, what was that, Nathan? Let's go.
It's time for America's favorite segment. What do you hate? Go, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's good. This is a good one today, actually, because I did put some thought into this like previously to the show because I thought that this was going to come up early. But yeah, my missus and the little one are actually at the in-laws right now, like for a couple days this week because the cousin's there and they're kind of playing, and it's a national holiday, so grandma's off. So I actually hate the fact that I'm enjoying having the apartment to myself, to be able to like come and do shows with you and get some writing done and like do some serious work, right? Like it's like often they're in the background and I'm like relegated to like a different room depending upon the different time of day. But I'm actually enjoying like being able to sit here in the living room in the sun, shining in the veranda and not have to move. And do my like normal Tuesday routine of show after show after show, without like having to worry about being interrupted or interrupting anyone else. So yeah, that's what I hate, the fact that I'm happy being alone today.
You can be miserable about being happy,
right? Yeah, exactly. So
no, I know what you mean. Sometimes that guilt of like appreciating the fact that you're alone when there are people that want to be with you, like it does feel bad a little bit, but like. They want it too. That's the trick. They want the space also. And like
I have a T-shirt that says that I wear to the club.
You go to the club?
Want it too? Yeah. No. I did. Interestingly enough, though, I did go out the other night to meet some friends. And it wasn't.
You're going out nighttime. Jimmy's back.
Yeah. No, it was a club. We went out to meet another. We wanted to try some jerk chicken at this Jamaican restaurant. And it was closed, and then it was open, and then it was in a different place. And so, but we were wandering around inside Bashi, which is like where all the young people hang out. And I was amazed at like, I haven't been out in a really long time. And it was still fairly early. It was like 7, 8 o'clock at night. But I was just amazed at how many people were out and about. And it was really exciting to kind of see that side of it. But
you haven't been out in a long time?
I mean, not in that area. Like
Okay.
Like that's kind of like the karaoke like bar, like young people.
I forgot they say it different. Like, wow, that's crazy.
Club area, right?
So, is that an American word, karaoke, or am I just tripping?
No, they say it in America, but it comes from Japan.
That's okay. So I was so curious. I don't know why I'm always afraid to ask those questions.
It's probably the worst like coronavirus activity ever, to stand in a bar with like a bunch of people that like bellowing out like
it's not good.
Like bellowing out like, what do they bellow out here?
Like, here you go, and they put it on their face. Like, okay,
the Beatles.
not good.
Yeah.
If could smell the disease on the mic.
Yeah, well, so this is why we only do it once an episode. We've decided to, love is the answer, but love is the answer. But in order to appreciate love, you have to be in touch with what you hate.
Polar opposites. They keep us. If you just have, you're just like so much love, you're just crashing into the wall, and your head goes to the window, and you're bleeding everywhere. It's not productive. Balance. So Jimmy's the hate. I'm the love.
You hate too. You just keep it.
I get upset for sure. Actually, I think that's an interesting thing to talk about in some ways. Like the artist Vesta said that to me. They're like, he was like, you're not like all love in like a nice way all the time, right? And I was like, well, no, I mean, no one is. And he's like, oh, okay, I get it. So it's not bullshit then. And I was like, well, no, it's not. Like, I genuinely love you and everybody I run into, but like, there is balance. Like, I have depression, I have anxiety, I get upset with things, for sure. So there's that balance, there's that offsetting. But at the end of the day, a lot of that's fuel for the fire. So it's kind of, it's always worked in my advantage, really. I don't plan on letting it reverse anytime soon. A lot of us have this thing that we're all like, we're just getting started. And I mean, I truly believe that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be insane. Like, can you imagine when you actually realize that I'm not a figment of your imagination?
You're not like that. I'm just
gonna show up at your door, and you're gonna be like, "You're real? Like this whole time you were real?" I thought I was just like in Fight Club, and I thought I was the only one that could see Jimmy on the other side of the YouTube.
You show up and you punch you in the face. You're like, "It's Fight Club for real now." Boom.
No, I would never do that. Like I would never do that.
Yeah, you would.
I might fake punch you, but I'm probably just gonna let the nasty hooks do that.
I bet they'll fake punch the shit out of me, dude. I'm kind of. You know what? I'm not intimidated actually, because I could like probably real punch.
Right? This is the problem with you. This is the problem. Like,
I'm sorry.
They keep calling me up, and they're like, "That Nathan guy, he's scaring me." Like, he says love is the answer, but he keeps threatening that if he loses the fake punch fight, then he's going to start throwing the real punches. Right? Like,
I don't like losing fake battles. You remember that?
Right.
I'm just kidding. I'm easy to beat because I'll just be like, "Here you go, you win." Nice guys finish last because they hold the door for other people. We could have gotten there first. We just like, here you go.
Is that why you hold the door?
Yeah.
I don't.
Also,
I hold the door because I like to take a cheeky look. But anyway.
Yeah, you like to smell people when they walk by. That's weird. You hold the door and they go in. You're like, is that like expensive? Is that Chanel No. 5 or something? You get slapped in the mouth.
We totally need to have a Sake America party,
dude. Let's get drunk on rice wine together for sure.
Right.
That's what it is, right? It's fermented rice with something else like sugar and.
Yeah, I guess you could call it wine. It's not really wine though, but yeah.
It's not. Yeah, it's not technically wine. It's like. Fuck, it's made out of. I mean, it is like some rice type thing. I think.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I wouldn't call it wine though. I like it. So I'd parallel it more to like whiskey, something like that, right? Like, it's fermented in the same process, but it doesn't give off that Louis Vuitton aroma that you like, the wine that you drink.
That like uncomfortable hard leather, man. Those bags. What is wrong with that?
Right.
That is an expensive, nice thing, and then. It's just so rough to the touch.
So, yeah, we're probably going to wrap this up, but just
I get one of these instead. Hey,
he had to kill an actual alligator for that, ladies.
No.
There's an image somewhere of Nathan holding an alligator's mouth open with his fist and his elbow pulling the alligator's tongue.
It's just like kind of I've got it like. Prop shut.
Yeah.
Open.
So we're gonna be here randomly in and out, like maybe for the next week or two. But we're gonna change the show time of this show because we have to. I have no choice. I'm gonna have to be somewhere in the real world from the month of December and the month of January that I don't really have a choice.
You're gonna be there for a whole month straight, that one place?
No, like on Tuesdays and a couple other days a week, I actually have to go and do something. So I think though,
you're a go-kart track now.
Yes, I need to be there to make sure that when
blow the whistle when people bump each other. You can't. Get out of your track. You're banned for the day.
Well, I did get banned from a go-kart track once.
Me too. I'm rubbing is racing, as they say. And
I crashed. I crashed the go-kart, actually.
Oh, you're a bad driver.
Into a fence that, like, if the fence wouldn't have been there, it would have been the bumper boat pond.
You bad driver. Yeah.
So I was really young. I was just above the height limit to be able to get on the go-kart. And like, I had the smallest helmet on and I went around, I did the thing. I was wearing my cool deck shoes at the time. I had my tickets in my deck shoes. I remember like the ticket flew out of my shoes and I had to stop and I got out and I'm running around the track trying to pick up my tickets. That was pretty dangerous. I felt like I was in a giant game of Frog. Right. But then like I was coming in for the final round and I thought I used to do this thing on my mountain bike on the gravel where like I would hit the brakes and I would do this like cool little like skid turn. So I wanted to do that with the go-kart. But I wasn't really that aware with my surroundings at that point. And so I was coming in hard, like fairly fast. And the guy's like, slow down. And then like I took my foot off the gas, but I guess I was still coming in like too fast. And the guy standing in front of me, he's like, stop. He's like, hit the brakes. So I slam on the brake, but actually it wasn't the brake. I slammed on the gas again. So the go-kart like took off. He dove out of the way. Like I swerved to miss him. I like jumped. I went because it's in the back, so there's no tires. So I went off the track. I jumped over this hill. Like the car took air. The go-kart took air. I jumped over this hill. When the car landed, my helmet was too big, so it fell down over my eyes. Oh,
you're like in the Little Rascals now.
Yeah, totally. And I couldn't see, and I crashed into this fence. And like I'm like, whoa, what happened? Like I stopped, I lift off my helmet, and there's like the bumper boats right in front of me. Like I'm just like, wow. And I turned around, and my mom's like, oh my God, my baby, and my dad and my uncle are just like this.
Your dad's like, that is not my kid.
Yeah, right. Like my uncle's laughing, my dad's just like,
he's like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, he kind of knows because like he put me in the truck like really early, but yeah.
He's like, well, Jimmy's uncoordinated, but we're gonna give it a go anyway.
But I think we want to. I like these updates. I like the Grassroots episodes, but I think we're gonna try to get some more interesting guests. So
bring them to me. I'm not afraid.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're listening to us and you want to join us and talk about art or music or
talk to us if you dare.
Yeah. Why is it maths but it's not arts? Like seriously, right? There's your argument, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. Like what's the deal with sacred geometry?
that's definitely definitely maths, right? Yeah. So. Right. Next week though, I think we'll try to do this regular time again. So
definitely let's do this. And I'll be live from this funky space den. I'm traveling at the speed of light in this little vessel.
And who knows? We may even try to get a cool, interesting guest on here next week again. But I just wanted to touch base because it's been a while since we've actually had the pleasure. It's been a couple weeks.
Definitely.
So welcome back to A Shallow Dive with Love. And go out there and yeah.
Next week we'll have Gene Hackman on. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Sweet. I mean, is that the guy that? Oh no, I'm thinking of Richard Simmons. Never mind. But Richard Simmons would be cool too.
I don't know him. I was going to lie and say that.
How do you not know Richard Simmons?
You're like, what? How do you know him? That's crazy.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's probably the one person that you could definitely have a multicolored tights competition with him for sure.
Met Ron Jeremy. Not fun.
I don't know what it would be like to meet Ron Jeremy.
Coughed on me.
And that was before COVID.
Yeah, all right. I don't even know what he had.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We'll catch you guys on the flip side next week. Do take care. find your answer, and if you can't, look to love.
Love is the answer. Wah, 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 wah. Karate chop.